want to take a couple minutes and talk about that CEO of United Healthcare that was assassinated in New York. Every day that the media leaks more information about the investigation, it's just killing that case. So every time they put something out, that's just one more avenue that those investigators can't use when they get a suspect in there and start questioning him. The whole idea when you're going to sit down and interview a suspect is you want to get him to provide you information that only the suspect would know. But I can bet you a quarter whoever's leaking this information, it's not the investigator over the case, because it's his neck that's in the noose, literally, on this case. All the pressure's on him. And any violent crimes investigator knows you can't conduct your investigation in the media. I don't know how many of my videos I've mentioned that in, but this is just a classic example. They're just boxing that investigator in. Now, I know they've mentioned that they think they've got DNA and they've got some really good pictures of the guy, and it just seems like they got an open and shut case, but they don't. Because now if the DNA evidence they got, if it came from a cup that came from a trash can inside of that coffee shop or wherever they got it from, I don't think the defense attorney is just going to roll over and let y'all submit that and say, well, that proves that must be your client. Well, no. It's going to be harder than you think. Of course, the case always seems pretty simple to anyone that's not the investigators. That includes Uniform Patrol. They all think that this case is a wrap. Well, that's not. There's a lot of work involved. But when you sit down and talk to someone, you want that statement to show, without a doubt, to a jury that when they read it or listen to it, they'll go, yeah, he must be the guy, because he knows facts about the case that only the suspect would know. Now, this issue with the shell casings and the writing that's allegedly on it, one news report said it was etched in there. And they even told you what was actually written on them. But now, don't you think, or you should think, if you were a violent crimes investigator, you would know this, that's something that you want to talk to the suspect about. You want to ask him, say, hey, those shell casings, anything about those unusual, or did you do anything to them? You don't tell him, but you just ask him, what about them shell casings? What'd you do to them? And what you're going to expect him to tell you is oh, okay, well, I've got the words this and that and the other written on them. Oh, okay. Well, how'd you put them on there? Magic marker, ink pen, what? How did you put those words on those shell casings? And you want him to tell you, oh, I etched them in there, or whatever he did. But you want him to tell you that. And that will convince people and tell people that, hey, this is the guy because he knows this. Well, the whole world knows it now. So that's a whole line of questioning that's just a waste of time now, because everybody knows it. Every nutcase who wants to turn himself in that looks like dude's picture is going to be trying to confess to the crime. And when the media tells the public everything that's going on in the case, well, you're just wasting your time. You're spinning your wheels. There is no such thing as too much evidence. You can never have too much evidence. And the ultimate piece of evidence is going to be that confession if you can get it. But it sure help your confession a whole lot if you can get information out of the suspect that only he would know and not everybody in the world knows. That's terrible. If you ever want to know an example of how not to conduct an investigation, that one in New York right now is it. And I know that investigator that's actually handling that case, I know he's about to lose his mind. And if I had to bet a quarter, I'd say it's probably some of his supervisors that are leaking it. And if it's not them, it's some of these other investigators that are just helping out, but their name's not on the case. That is just terrible. And I'm telling you, it's going to cause them problems. It's going to cause them more problems than they should have had on this case. And the bigger the spotlight, the more interference you're going to get from your supervisors, because all of them are looking at that case. And if it was my case, I'd go to my lieutenant and I'd say, Lieutenant, okay, we're going to block this case off. Because we used to do that. Homicide cases were always blocked off. And when I was in robbery, we could block cases off if we needed to, because some of them were pretty sensitive. Trouble is, you've got to block them off and block everybody out. And I'm just telling you, supervisors, they want to know. They want to know everything. And they would love to go around and shoot their mouths off about these cases. It's just going to be problems. And they're making it hard on that investigator.